and to accept letting that go so that this other part of you, this kind of everlasting being, this unified soul, might continue the reality of my experience, which is that the love is happening in the present moment here.
Wow, yeah.
And I just spent so much time looking everywhere else. When the belonging that I think I've really been seeking and struggling to find my whole life is right here. But then the encouragement to kind of like remember that there is this place in yourself that is always yours.
Wow, yes.
That like your body can't touch.
Yeah.
You know? And there it is. Like, oh, is that my soul?
Right.
Is that the part that lives beyond?
Yeah. So part 2. Hi everyone, we're back. We had some technical difficulties the last time, but we still had a great conversation. Luckily, Greg has agreed to spare us even more time to do a part 2. So thank you so much once again for taking the time. I know you're busy, there's a lot going on. So really, I do appreciate it. And I'm excited because it's like, it's just how we talk anyways. But now the world basically gets to see what we like, live like, and speak like on a regular basis. But yeah, like our last conversation, we were really focused on like the collective, and I saw like a really big theme going on with like purpose and like collective purpose as a society was kind of like our theme of discussion, which I think is perfect for you as a sociology professor and everything. It really aligned with like what your class was focused on in the time, and I think we had a really good conversation about that. It almost like when I was looking over the footage, I don't want to say it was like a venting session, but it felt in a way like a session where we got to kind of release like, this is what I feel like is going on in the world. What do you think? You know, and like, I think it's really important to have those conversations. So I want to do that again today, but I want to do more of like a focus on the individual so that our audience can really get to know you and be inspired by your journey. And yeah, so we'll just kind of jump right in.
That sounds great.
But yeah, let it just be like raw and real. As much as I do like a nice organized, like structured filming session, I think I prefer just like real authentic conversations. I think we need to see more of that nowadays. So I'm just gonna start the conversation off nice and simple, but like, how are you feeling mentally, spiritually, and physically today?
Great question. Well, it's such a pleasure to be back with you. Thank you for the invitation.
Yes, of course.
Let's take those maybe in reverse order because I think it's the easiest. So I think physically, so as I explained in the first video, I'm living with advanced cancer, so stage 4 colon cancer. And it's getting to the point now where you can really kind of feel it. Before it's just sort of something that's kind of happening in your body. You're aware of it medically, but you don't really experience it sensorially outside the treatment every day. And now there's like, the tumors are large enough that they like, they scrape, they abut, they bug all of the surrounding organs. And that just makes everything a little bit harder. I think this is the story of so many people with this disease, is just this kind of slow decline. And so you can just sort of feel pieces of, I mean, even my voice has changed. Like this raspiness that you hear, this kind of like this quietness, this is the treatment and it's the cancer. So I think, and we just changed chemotherapy drugs, so pros and cons with each, but I think it's also just kind of adjusting to a new kind of, a new treatment. So, I don't know. A lot of days I feel really tired, I think is the biggest feeling I have.
I'm sure like emotionally as well.
So then I think that's the other part, which is the mental piece, right? And I think I feel very loved and very well supported. but there is this way that like you can't get away from it, and so you kind of see death everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's really strange, because it's not how I used to live my life.
Of course.
Not without that awareness, and now it's just all the time. So there'll be moments where I'm like at a party, having a great time, all smiles, cancer is the furthest thing from my mind, and I'll leave and it just all comes rushing back in. So I think the way I described it earlier today to a friend was just kind of like emotional whiplash.
Yeah.
You go from these really high highs to these really low lows. And I feel like a lot of that kind of echoes our life's experience. It's just kind of intensified and made more extreme by the disease.
Right.
So I think that kind of raises the spiritual piece. And this was, as you saw when you visited class, this was such a huge part.
I love how she came here. I feel like she like almost sensed the energy, came here to like comfort.
That's it. Sometimes she has this way, she will come and lay at your feet. She sits with her back against the couch. And it's kind of her safe zone, but it's like her defensive pattern. Yes, I love
that's so
this
sweet.
moment.
But yes, the spiritual
piece. In some ways, it's like the most challenging. You think the physical piece is going to be, and it is, challenging. But the spiritual piece is, I think, hard in an entirely different way. And it's hard because it's just really hard to let go of all of the things the ego clings to, that the ego values, because that's been such a huge part of my embodied experience. And to accept letting that go so that this other part of you, this kind of everlasting being, this unified soul might continue, right? And then are there ways for me then to kind of be in touch with that more so that I live in a more spiritually aligned way?
Right.
And so in some ways, I think the class that I taught, the class that I called the Sociology of Living and Dying, which was a little bit of sociology about disease and chronic illness, but then was mostly just kind of reviewing the major spiritual traditions of the world and seeing what they have to say about living well and dying well. And I think one of the things that's really sort of shows up commonly across these readings is that the sort of soul-centered living, the soul itself is available to us in some ways while we're on this earth. Right? And so we all experience this in some ways, right? And the example I think I gave in class is when you feel really seen by somebody, when there's a connection that you experience is beyond the superficial, right? That might be a moment that you're kind of touching down in that soul level, to an essence that goes beyond what you look like and what statuses you've achieved and how much education you have, how much money you make. To something deeper. And I think to a certain degree I've done that. But the emotional intensity of anticipating death is so big for me right now. It feels like it's just hard to kind of take the next step and let go to another level. Of course. And so I find myself now kind of seeking, I think a lot of my spiritual exploration was very individual, right? We have conversations at dinner, but much of it is happening like in my books, in my classes. And now I think the real missing piece for me, and it kind of brings us back to the topic from our first part, is a collective experience, a collective spiritual experience. And so yoga delivers that to a certain degree.
Conversations like this.
Absolutely deliver this to a certain degree. And then I think receiving love from others, especially when you can't do for yourself to the same extent as you used to be able to. So there are all these moments, right, where you're invited to kind of experience your life outside or beyond just your body and just your kind of corporeal experience. And I think I just have trouble kind of fully embracing that because it's just so hard to let go of this piece.
And I think also, like, especially in our society, the way that we were kind of raised to understand death. Like our relationship with death is like severed in this society. It's not healthy, you know? And I think that that's probably part of the reason why once you're like confronted with it, even though, and we kind of talked about this in your class, it's like, it's a truth that we've always known. It's our shared destiny as humans. It's what makes us human. No person is guaranteed any time. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Like it could be a perfectly healthy person who's not thinking about it, not worried about it, and tomorrow is their time, you know? And so it's like, who are we to say like, I guess how would I put this? It's just kind of interesting how the perception we have on life changes when suddenly now we're being confronted with this thing that was already here, but we were just ignoring for some time. And I do believe that like if our society mended their relationship just as a whole, as a collective with death, we would be more loving to each other. And I think Bell Hooks talks about this.
1000%.
Yeah, I think that's like the thing that's missing when we talk about like the door to spirituality. It is like coming encounter with death. It is having this awareness of something deeper, you know? And like we all do it in different ways. And ultimately, I feel like you can't truly access a real spiritual experience without having confronted it at least once in your life.
I think that's probably right, because there's so many social forces that are inviting you to ignore it, avoid it, postpone it. I mean, even medical science, right? Death is often thought of as kind of like a failure.
Like something you can control.
Something you control, like an outcome to be avoided, right? And so our kind of mainstream experience with death is either non-existent or glorified without also, all the violence on
like
TV, media, right? But it's sensationalized, and so there's not a personal relationship to it. It's happening outside of you, right? You're spectating, you're not experiencing.
And a lot of it can be attached to ego sometimes too, I've noticed.
1000%.
You know, so there's that layer as well. And I guess a question I want to go into now that we've like kind of started this conversation, since your diagnosis, like how do you think your relationship not only with death has changed, but with life? And I know we've talked about this, but because our theme is like purpose, kind of, that's what I'm seeing going on. How has your purpose, like your own self-purpose shifted throughout this journey, if that makes sense?
It definitely does. I think, well, it kind of comes back. So I just like kind of want to make it really concrete, right? You're saying that some kind of catastrophe is often required to kind of wake us up to both the meaning of the lives that we're living now, but also what might be beyond. And I think that was absolutely true for me, right? Like I kind of know intellectually that nothing is guaranteed, right? Tomorrow is not promised. And yet you don't live like that, right? You think your time is limitless, you postpone. You're too afraid to jump into something, whatever it is. And now, because there is this everyday reminder that time is very short, you can't, I mean, I guess you could ignore it. People do all the time. But there is a powerful invitation to rethink how you're living. And that's why I think it's like, for instance, in an undergraduate class, like why drag them through all of this thinking and reading about dying when they're 19 and perfectly healthy for the most part. Well, because, in that reflection, you learn how to live better. And someone said a version of this to me very early on when I was first diagnosed. And they talked about cancer as a teacher. And at the time, I could not hear it. I was like, F you. Like,
please.
I was not there. But I think about that comment now, and I think it's exactly right. That my encounter with catastrophe, I think, really clarifies what your priorities are in life. And so living with purpose for me, at least professionally, meant teaching. And I think I shared a little bit about this with you last time when I got the chance to come back to work. So once I'd kind of stabilized in treatment, I was able to work part-time. So I taught this one class. Wonderful experience, but they asked me, like my dean, my chair, what kind of work do you want to do when you come back? And they're like, well, you could work in the dean's office doing admin work. You could run the program review for the department. You could take on some chair responsibilities, or you could teach a class. And I knew immediately what I wanted to do.
Exactly.
And the young people, that's where I wanted to be. And that was just so obvious, right? And so I think for a long time teaching, I kind of felt like a failure in my career, because this is the kind of job that you're graduate advisors tell you is kind of a dead end, right? It's not a R1 research position. You're not going to become sort of academically famous. And I think I really internalized that for a long time. And then when cancer came along, it just blew all that away. I did not care anymore what they thought. I didn't care anymore what their vision was for my life.
Of course.
What really made sense was what I felt every time I was in a classroom with young people, just kind of the exhilaration of being together and learning. And more than just the learning, right? It's like watching young people grow. And the college experience was such a transformative time in my life that I feel very motivated now to kind of do that with them. So it clarifies purpose, right? But then there's this other thing that I kind of grapple with all of the time, and then the lesson here is the love, right? So I think it's like priorities become very clear. But then like loving relationships suddenly take on, I think, to me, a much bigger place in my life than they had. So like, for instance, when I first was diagnosed, I was like, oh my God, I better do all my bucket list stuff now, sell all my belongings, buy a boat, and travel the world. Something like this, right? The kind of stories you hear on the news.
Feeling rushed all of a sudden.
That's right. You got to hurry and do it all. And I brought this up to my partner. I was like, "What? Like, do you think like is that a crazy thing?" And he's like, "Well, no, but like, who would you talk to?" And the reason he says that is because he knows I'm a really social person. Like, I'm a very extroverted person. I really derive a lot of energy from interactions with others, right? In fact, I felt it like I was with a friend for coffee right before this, and it was a struggle to walk to the coffee shop. And then we get there and we go on a walk, and I do like triple the distance without thinking about it, right? Because of the power of that relationship and the love he was showing me, and just the value I place in the connection between people.
And that says something about your relationship with that person specifically as well, because there are relationships that take that energy out. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
So that really shows that you have good people in your life. If when you're around people, you're gaining energy.
So I was worried about the Instagram. I was worried about the bucket list. I was like, do I have enough friends? Do I seem am I like living in a way that people...
The external
would validate externally in some way. And this was, for me, this was really tied to like the gym and having the kind of body that I thought I had to have. The social life, big groups, big parties, and this bucket list thing, right? Like I have to do all these things before time is up. And I think what I learned, and this comes from somebody, she's at Duke Divinity School, Kate Bowler, but she talks about, she has this expression that my bucket list is you. And what she was saying, she had a similar thing. She has the exact same cancer as I do. Her prognosis was a lot better ultimately, but like it's still, you know, she went through the same moment. And what she came out with was a lot of what I have been seeking has kind of been right under my nose this whole time. And I had concerned myself overly with status in all of the ways that manifests itself, whether it's the way we look, the people we're with, the car we drive, the parties we show up at, whatever that is. All of that stuff started to fade. And I was suddenly a lot less concerned about whether my weekend plans were big enough to fulfill this kind of external expectation. And instead I find myself doing a lot more kind of like one-on-one or small group. And I get to know people a lot more deeply that way. And the relationship goes deeper.
Of course.
And you learn what people around you can offer me the same love that this friend is offering, right? Can kind of sit with the pain, can just accompany you through it and be loving the whole time. And I've really found that is the stuff of my life. That is the stuff that makes me feel good.
I was going to say, it seems like you've found what grounds you.
100%. And
which is other people. And it's the same for me. I think it's the same for everybody. I think like good, solid connection with like other human beings, with yourself, like that is the most grounding thing you can do for yourself. And like, it's crazy how distorted reality becomes when you're not around your people. Like, I was thinking about this whole year. Like, I was so stressed about money, about job, and about like just image, and like comparing myself to everybody post-graduation, you know. And then I started to realize, like, I didn't used to be like this. I used to be so happy, and I was still in the same situation, but I just didn't care about this stuff. What changed? And I realized, like, oh, at that time I always had my people. I had love. Like, I was every day I was doing something with somebody, and I was like so happy I couldn't even worry about anything else. And I realized, like, oh, it's not that I'm like failing at life, I just feel alone. Like, and that's when I started to realize maybe we have a problem in society, you know.
This is it. This is it. It's the layers, it's what you say, the distortion of reality, the layers of mystification we pile onto our experience that obscure what's actually happening in front of us, but also like all of the things that you might have been seeking that are right under your nose. Right? And so sometimes it's just a matter of kind of digging more deeply into what you already have rather than collecting more. And that was just a tremendous, I can't tell you like what a freedom that is. Because I still feel, you see someone's vacation to Spain, whatever it is. And you think, oh my God, why am I not in Madrid? What am I doing? I just want to be at the parties. I want to be with the boys. I want to be hanging out too. I'm wasting my time. And then I take a deep breath. And my partner and the dog walk into the room, and we go to a lovely dinner with people like you, and I'm suddenly brought back to earth. The reality of my experience, which is that the love is happening in the present moment here. And I just spent so much time looking everywhere else. When the belonging that I think I've really been seeking and struggling to find my whole life is right here. And so even this, like this friend I mentioned before, this is a friend from years ago that we're just kind of getting back in touch with. He found my writing online, learned what was going on, and reached out. And there's like, I think there's two things I could have done with that moment. I think one, I'm like, oh great, another friend that I can add to my collection. This is like when you say it out loud, it seems idiotic, right? But it's the motivation so often for my behavior. And now I think what I do with the experience is just like, that was a lovely person. And all of the things I liked about them back then are still there. Right? And the care and the gentleness and the kindness. I've come to value a lot more than what someone looks like or what they can give me or how they can improve my station in the world. And there is a tremendous freedom in that. And I wrote this down as a phrase that emerged out of a therapy session one day. And I wrote it down because it just seemed so important for me. The type A extrovert, do all the things, book all the things, which is there's nothing else you need to do. There's nothing else you need to do in your life to have made your life worth living. Because we've been working at it this whole time, right? You've been trying at this whole time. And I realized that, like, I guess I had been trying to live intentionally for a while. And the cancer accelerated the process, right? But it also gave me a foundation to work from. So even though all of the same old temptations are there, right? The old habits of mind, it's easier to kind of not let them sweep you away. You can kind of let them go by. As a thought, as a feeling. Because your experience of dying helped you understand impermanence.
And
that helped me let go.
And I think it teaches you, I think that through this whole journey, what I've seen from you is that you're an amazing alchemist of your experience, of the pain that you're going through. And I like how you said, like, you're seeing the cancer as like a foundation to build off of. Because as you were speaking and talking about like how the connection with others like grounds you, you know, the way you were making it sound is almost like it's healing to be around other people. And it's ironic because I'm like, that's how it feels for me to be around you. That's how everybody who's coming to visit and everything, it's like, it's obviously for you, but we're gaining something too. You know what I mean? We get more of you on a deeper level, you know, which is super healing for what's going on in society. And I think that's another thing you have to give yourself credit for is you're you're dealing with your own grief on a personal level, but then we're all collectively dealing with grief as a society for what the world once was.
That's right.
Because the world really has ended and restarted. And this is a weird time period. So we're grieving that, and then on top of that, you have what you're going through. But you're able to provide so much more during this time for all of us who need that, you know? And so, like, I really just see you as a healer. I really do, you know?
Can I answer that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess you do need to, like, talk into the mic. Our camera guy, aka my boyfriend, Isaiah, wants to say something. So
no, I
join the conversation.
Yes, please.
No, it's all good. Sometimes like that little, when the person's in the background is talking, it kind of adds to the. You feel me? But no, I just wanted to say, like, you are somebody who. You validate like the highest frequency in others. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like when I first met you, I was going through that transition stage of like just realizing what I wanted to keep from what I grew up with, and then the things that I wanted to let go. And it was like just you walking around with you in Trinidad and having conversations and laughing and just hanging out. It was like it aided the same thing you said, that college transition. It just aided it. I was like, oh, like there's so many cool people on this planet, you know. It just made me think of life so differently, you know. And then I also have another moment that was so cool to me. I told you and your partner, I was like, you guys are like really big bro vibes, you know, because like they always let us come over and watch their dog and stuff, but like you guys just take care of us, you know what I'm saying? And then you looked at me and you were like, no, you're a big bro. And I just like, wait, what? But I just felt like we just, it was just love in the air. I was like, we just respected each other. I was like, this is cool, man. Like, you feel protected and I feel protected. You know what I'm saying? And
that's how it should travel.
100%. But
both directions.
It's love.
It absolutely is. It's all love. I think I receive and really appreciate what you're saying. I think people have tried to get me to understand that this whole time. And as, you know, as like a low self-esteem person, it's like hard to believe. But I believe it now.
Yes.
And I appreciate that so much. And I think it's easy to do with the two of you because you gave me so much of that. So it's interesting to hear you bring up this. We took the study abroad class in Trinidad and Tobago. It's really different than your average class because we're all living together, right? We were together, and in that class in particular, we were together all the time.
It was such a small group.
It was such a small group, and it was an intense schedule. Never knew what was happening next. But I wrote about this in like promotional material when I was going up for full professor, and how much of my teaching career I spent kind of keeping students at arm's lengths because that's what I thought being a professional meant. Right? And then you get on a Catholic campus, you don't want like, I don't want no trouble here, like I don't touch nobody, like I ask permission to touch the shoulder, right? You know, like, I just don't want no trouble. And then we did that class, and you couldn't keep those walls up. We're together all the time. And then I found ourselves, like, for instance, I remember we were in, it was Tobago, and we were staying at that house. And we would have the conversations after the dinners on the patio. That's what I remember the clearest. And how much this meant to me. And I was like, you have been denying yourself the wisdom and love of students. For what reason? You've been cutting yourself off, right? So again, it's right under your nose. I was just layering on the mystic, like, this is what it means to be a professor. I have to be this way. I have to be stern. I have to be rigorous. People are going to take advantage of me. And then we get there, and you all really blew that open for me.
Wow, that was the opposite for us.
That's exactly right.
Best we ever had.
And so when I came to teach this class, this spring semester, so what was this? This was not the last, 2 Januaries ago.
Yes, 2 Januaries ago.
God, it feels like a lifetime ago.
I know.
I thought I would take a really different tack. And so I taught a highly personal class. It doesn't mean we're reading my medical chart, but I share strategically parts of what I'm going through. And I just kind of let the students talk more. Instead of structure and slides and quizzes and reading comprehension and all this. And I think it's important in some stages, right? Like in an intro class, I think that actually does help a lot. But when you're like with juniors and seniors who sought you out for this experience, right? A really unusual experience. They have so much to offer. So much to offer. And I never would have heard any of that if I hadn't opened up my teaching more. And so like the thing that I noticed was when I teach a different kind of class that is more personal, that is more focused on their holistic development, you see a different part of your students, just like I did in our study abroad course.
Right.
And I was so glad that I did. These kids that I've known for years, I knew were special, right? But we didn't really talk like that.
Yeah.
Now we do.
Yeah.
And it made for just the most incredible teaching experience I've ever had.
Right.
And you all helped me build that. You'll help me get to that place. So before there was cancer, right, there was, you know, Manya and Zay helping me see that what we all want.
Right.
And I think the setting in which we learn most deeply is one of connection and love. And that's not, you know, we don't front load that in our teaching.
Yeah.
I mean, Paulo Freire does, but like most people do not, right? We're just here to get through the semester and move on. And I think that's kind of how I led my life, or at least how I led my career. And I'm so glad to have let that go.
Yeah. And, you know, I think like, being an educator,
these people, these incredible people.
Yes. You know, I feel like being an educator too, I think the vulnerability is essential to be a true educator.
I agree.
I feel like 100%. My entire definition of what real education was honestly shifted after taking your class and getting to know you as a professor, not just in the classroom, but you as a person. Like being like somebody who really educates me every day. Like you come in my head at some point, you know, through some random new thing I'm going to do. I think of Greg and I'm just like, oh yes, like I feel inspired all the time, you know, and I feel like that's what it means to be a true educator. And it's so interesting that you're saying this because, and this is how I know, like, all of my like inner circle people, like we're always going through like similar concepts in our mind at the same time. Like we're aligned in different ways. We're receiving the lessons through different experiences, but we're still along the same lines of like the same kind of like lessons we're being taught. And a theme that you were bringing up that's been on my mind lately was actually freedom. And how you get to be like a more free version of yourself by opening yourself up to vulnerability. And the other day I was like having a conversation with my friend and she was just like, I mean, do you believe in free will? And at first I was like, I actually don't know. Because sometimes I think I do and then I read my chart or my human design and I'm like, why do they know everything about me? I'm not a real person. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know. It could all be written and planned and maybe I have no idea. But then it hit me and I was like, that's not really what free will is. Free will is like your choice of like what you want to pour energy into. You know, and it's like your ability to open up and be vulnerable is you freeing yourself. I feel like the less you are, the less vulnerable you are, the more like in captivity you are. And like one quote, and I know I've said it so many times, but it's just the best one. It's so simple and to the point, is like within hardship comes ease. I always think about that. And I know you know this in reference to the contrast and everything. And lately, like just with so much like change and stuff just going on in my life and in the world, and I don't do well with change. I like things to just stay as they are because I find a lot of comfort in like routine. I think having like a sense of control, I think we all do, you know.
Seek it out all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that one thing I've been telling myself is like, even though there's chaos all around me, there's like, we're literally sitting in hardship. Even if the hardship is happening within you, there is still a moment of ease that you can access. And so like the trick for me is like access the ease and just keep leaning into it in every moment. And that's it. Just keep leaning into it. And that ease is the vulnerability. It's being able to be real. And I guess I would ask, like, with your class and, like, I guess connecting with your loved ones on, like, a deeper level, having these conversations, are you able to find a place of ease and comfort through what's going on right now?
Definitely.
Yeah. Is it a matter of, like, would you say leaning into that more or having to redefine it constantly as the journey changes?
I think it has to get redefined as you go along because the physical toll becomes greater and greater. So finding ease becomes more and more of a challenge. I guess I kind of think about it in two ways. It's like if you zoom out to like my life in general, the ease comes from moments like this. Being with people like this, being in loving relationship. I think that to me always adds ease. You heard me talk about my energy pops up.
Yes.
Right? I could barely make it on foot to the coffee, but then we like chat a little bit and then we get up again to walk, and now I can go much further.
Yeah.
Like, what happened? Same body, same diagnosis, but there is an energy, there's an energetic exchange that I really do believe in now. It helps you find the ease.
Yeah.
But then I think you can also zoom into like individual moments of like hardship. Like when you like something physical is happening. And so like, how do you find the ease there? And I think one good tool is humor.
Yeah.
And I think you see some of this in like my writing.
Yes, yes.
So like just all the weird side effects that come up from all the drugs.
Right.
Some of them are very funny.
Yeah.
Some of them are very like embarrassing. And I think there's like, I don't know, like if you can laugh at it a little bit, I think suddenly it becomes a little, like this is an old truism, but it becomes a little less scary.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, that's like kind of like your inner child in a way.
Yeah.
Like whenever I make light of things, I feel like it's like my child self still getting to be the person they've always been. Like, you're not going to change who I am as a person. Like, you know, whatever it is, like the situation, the disease itself, it's like, you're not going to stop me from being me.
That's it.
I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to approach life the way I always do and bring my joy, my humor, who I am, you know?
Yeah, 100%. So I think there is like, yes, there's a way that kind of release allows you to come back to the forefront. But then I think there's this like other thing that's much like even simpler, and it's the breath.
Yeah.
So I think when things are really hard, and you know they're going to get harder, it's easy to panic.
Yeah.
And get mad. I think that's my kind of go-to. I get really frustrated and angry that this is happening, that people aren't doing, like helping me, whatever it is. But like, we practice it a lot in yoga, so it's like front of mind, which is great. But like returning to the breath really does help you survive moments that feel unsurvivable.
Right.
So I'm just like thinking
no, it's okay.
of these moments with like Zach, my partner.
Yeah.
And when I've like really been in trouble and I needed him, I couldn't help myself, you know, because you're in so much pain or like you're blacking out. And then like he comes along. And so like, I think one of the things, and he would always just like, just breathe, like just breathe. And like, that gives you a place to focus your energy. And it gives you like a safe space inside yourself that I've learned is always there, is always available to us. And even in the hardest moments, like you can get there, and it starts with breathing. So I think there's something about that loving relationship, right? But then the encouragement to kind of like remember that there is this place in yourself that is always yours.
Wow, yes.
That like your body can't touch.
Yeah.
You know? And there it is. Like, oh, is that my soul?
Right.
is that the part that lives beyond?
Yeah.
Right? This sort of unassailable peace that is separate from the embodied experience. And you're like, maybe that's it.
Do you think it'd be helpful to take a moment and be in that place right now? Maybe like 3 breaths together.
Oh, I would love it. Let's do it.
Yeah, okay.
Magic.
It is like magic. It does help.
You kind of return to yourself. You return to your experience.
It's the presence, I feel like.
100%.
In that it's hard. It's so much easier said than done to tell someone like, oh, just stay present.
That's it.
It's so hard. Like, I struggle with it all the time, and I feel like just taking that moment, breathing, or just sitting in silence and sitting in what is and accepting like, I can't even do anything about this. I just have to be. you know? It really brings you back to that place.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't have to do anything else. I just have to be.
Yeah.
Here. I just have to do this.
That is such a hard reminder for us to get, because we've been told otherwise. We've been told, like, no, your love must be earned. Your worthiness on this earth must be earned.
Pain is to be avoided at all costs.
And you know, that's another conversation I had with like a friend a couple months ago, was about like legacy.
Yeah.
And she was saying, like, I just want to lead a legacy. I'm like, well, what does that look like to you? Yeah. She's like, well, I want my name to carry on. Oh. And I'm like, okay, but it carries on for a couple 100 years and then it's gone.
If you're like famous.
Yeah.
If you're Beyonce.
Exactly. And I'm like, and what would you need to do in order to do that? And they're like, well, I'm going to achieve this, achieve. And I was like, okay, well, what if you're not granted that time? And I was like, what if you don't get to achieve the things you want? You think that you didn't contribute anything? Do you suddenly not have value anymore? Like, why are the people whose names we remember suddenly considered more valuable than, like, you know, I think I told you this last time, because I think, well, maybe not last time, but a few months ago, you were talking about like your writing, and you were like, I wish I had written, and like people could have known what I, you know, like what I have to offer and stuff. And I was like, I feel like the right people know.
Yes.
And that's enough. Because enough. I think I used like Martin Luther King as an example. And I was like, who's to say Martin Luther King is more valuable than let's just say somebody who inspired him to do what he wanted to do, but we don't know his name.
All the unsung lieutenants, right? Who for whatever reason couldn't be the forefront of the movement.
Exactly. And I was telling her this, and I was like, you need to change your definition of legacy. Legacy isn't your name. It isn't these external things. It's the spirit and the gifts that you like leave on, like, to the next generations. That's basically.
Right. Exactly right.
You know, I don't know where I was going with this. I was just talking about legacy.
That is, I think it really goes to
or
that
existence.
piece we were saying about status and mystification. And becoming overly preoccupied about this life. Do you mind if I take 1 sec? I'm going to dry off and
no worries.
We'll continue.
Take your time. I mean, even though you said that, like, I appreciate that, I also feel like my going into these conversations, like, I feel like the intention and the goal has changed for me. It's not even about like, oh, I want like a good conversation. It's like, I just want something real. I just want us to be able to just be how we are, and we can film it. And if it's like funny and the whole thing is just a comedy, okay, great. If it gets a little emotional, or if it's just like, you know, on the standard, like, that's what was real in that moment. And so that's what I'm trying to capture.
That's fine.
You know, so like, it's literally enough as it is. Yes. And I think that was the theme I was trying to hit on, was like, your existence is enough as it is. I keep like messaging my family members that every morning. I'm like, your existence is enough.
You are worthy today, without modification, without waiting for the next whatever. You're worthy now as a human being.
Right. Exactly.
This is the message of love, but it's hard to see sometimes because there's so much that gets in the way.
Exactly.
But what you say about legacy is really interesting, and I think it goes to what we were saying kind of at the beginning of this conversation. I feel like when I talk to a lot of my young male students, they're concerned about the same thing, about that legacy. Like, what do you mean by legacy? Like, making sure that my name is remembered into the future. And you're like, okay, that's great. Makes a lot of sense. Right. I get it, like, the impulse makes sense to me. Right. But like, I don't know, like, you're not Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not Aristotle. I don't know that anything that we're doing right now is going to register on that scale, and that's a-okay, because even when things register on that scale, it fades over time, like everything does, right? Like, the U.S. president is the most powerful person in the world, right? Can you name any of the presidents prior to, I don't know, Reagan or something? Right?
I don't even.
Exactly, right? Like, everybody's memory fades, right? And viewed from like a cosmic level, we are nothing. We are specks of dust on a rock that is rocketing through dark matter whose content we don't understand.
I always tell myself that when I'm stressed out, I'm like, I'm on a floating rock. I don't care. I'm on a floating rock.
What does this all mean? And so, like, at that level, it means nothing, right? But then you bring it down to like a very human, individual, or like relational level, and you see that because our lives are so fleeting, they are therefore precious, right? But they're precious on this scale. right? Maybe they're precious to our God or they're precious to our larger community, but certainly they're not going to be like precious to history forever.
Yeah.
And so what is it you're seeking from that? What like guarantee, what outcome are you trying to control that my life had meaning?
Yeah. Guys, I had some technical issues again, so we're transferring to my phone camera. But we'll continue the conversation here. Do you remember where we left off?
Yeah, just around legacy. So I think legacy is defined as like a kind of status you achieve,
right,
rather than an impact you have on those around you.
Right. I think it says a lot about like
it's both difficult to achieve, but it also distracts you from, I think, the beauty of what's happening here.
Right. And I think like the way that you would view legacy, it has to do with what you place meaning on. And I think we talked about this in your class, the attachment detachment. So the way that you were explaining like, oh, we are just little specks, like we almost feel like nothing, like we are insignificant. And it's like, I was thinking that all the time, and it would start to freak me out. And I'd be like, does my existence even matter? Like, I am just this. And in all the grand scheme of the universe, not even that. You know? And I really just like, I think that was during the time of my ego death. Like, I was just kind of like fully stepped outside of myself. Like, it was really hard for me to like be in my body at that point because I was like, this doesn't matter. You know? And it just kind of made me really like, have this weird melancholy like vibe and approach towards life, where it was hard to find motivation and stuff because I started to feel like insignificant. And I shifted that and I realized this, and this I think is what happens too when an individual is confronted with death as well, whether it's in like the realistic like physical sense or just through an emotional experience. When an individual is confronted with that, I think that's what happens at first is they're like, whoa, I don't have control. What was the point, you know? And I feel like the way that I would shift this is like, I stopped telling myself that my value was this body and this time period, this small little time period on Earth. It's not that I am this, it's that this duration of time, this moment is this, and there's more beyond that. And I shift that into, sure, maybe my body is nothing. Maybe this little version of me that I put so much value on that isn't even actually me is nothing. But who I actually am, my energy, I always say like my energy, my spirit is colossal. It's bigger. It takes up the whole universe 100%. You know, like I feel that
it's connected to the universe.
Exactly. And I feel like that's legacy. Like whatever qualities I have in my spirit now has been passed down to me from somebody started it at some point. Maybe I could say like, oh, I got this kind of energy from my grandma. She got it from somebody and from somebody else. And to me, that is living on, you know?
I think the trap of like trying to get famous.
Exactly.
Is exactly that. It's a trap. And what you say comes a lot closer to the, like, well, so there's like two pieces to that, right? One is kind of like, my soul belongs to a collective unity that is so much larger than this experience, right? And that's kind of where my core meaning comes from. There's something else you said about legacy and like the localness of it. Right? Like, this idea that like you received these qualities from someone who came before. And I feel like that is a more like realistic and admirable kind of approach to living, which is that we're links in a chain. And your job is to be a productive member of that community. I don't need to conquer it. I don't need to lead it. I don't need to be in charge of everything, controlling all the outcomes, right? My role in this life is to be as loving to those around me as I possibly can be, support their lives in the way they support mine, and let that be enough, right? And so we're back to that sort of scribbled note I left myself, right? There's nothing else I need to do.
Exactly.
So I read these stories sometimes about these folks with my diagnosis, with my cancer, and like the kind of incredible things they did afterwards, right? Like published in the New York Times or something like this. And I'm like, gosh, I would really love to do that. Am I failing because I haven't? I think that's a real trap. Right? And I confused someone else's experience from my own. And I lost sight of, I think, what really keeps me going, which is the loving relationships that are really the stuff of life.
And I think like reconnecting with that part of yourself, it's so weird, and it's almost like backwards. It's like the way you might want to see it with what's happening in the physical like aspect is like, I'm leaving, I'm like going away basically. But it's like what's really happening when it comes to who you really are, like your truth of like who you actually are, is you're just showing up. You're really arriving. And you know what I mean?
Yes, I do, and that is the knowing that I think I am working really hard. It's like I'm actively trying to internalize.
Yeah, it's definitely easier said than done. Like I said,
you're right.
I admire you. I'm always inspired by you because I'm just like, I don't know what I would be doing.
I think
and
that
imagine having this emotional maturity at this age. I just can't imagine where you will be in 20 years.
Right. Yeah. And you know, I think the reason why is from have people like you in my life. I would also say my parents. My parents have gone through such I'm just like, how are you this strong? You know what I mean? It shocks me, and I think what happens, it'll scare me a lot. Is I'll be like, this happened in my mom's life, this happens in my dad's life. What's gonna happen in mine? Like, I have no idea. It could be just as crazy, it could be worse. And I start getting so like freaked out, and I think that is me having constant confrontation with death. That's like my mind having, that's what that is for me. And so then it always brings me back to where it's supposed to be.
Pulses. Little tastes of death before the big event. That's what it is.
I think that's what it is. And I think it's because of like, maybe it's generational, like whatever happened in my dad's family, especially with the war and stuff, and my mom, like them losing their parents so young, like I definitely get like death pulses all the time. And I think that's where the emotional maturity comes from, is because I'm always being redirected, and I feel like I'm being guided by something. I don't know what it is, but I feel like that force is always redirecting me. If I get lost, it's like death pulse or like redirection, like no, remember that's not what matters, like come back. And so in a way it's like I find comfort talking about it and being in connection with it, which is kind of like abnormal in this society, in this culture.
That's right, in this culture. That's exactly right. That, what do I want to say? That there, the anticipation of suffering is a real tyranny in itself. I think about this all the time.
Right.
Because everything I'm feeling now, I know is just the start.
Right.
And I find myself kind of obsessing about it. Right? Like, what are all the things I can do to avoid the horror that I see in movies and on TV and in these YouTube narratives and in the books? And there's nothing is the answer. And all that time I spent fretting about it, I wasn't here. So you said coming back. I feel like that's where the breath returns you to the present moment. And the great risk of anxiety about whatever, including suffering, is that there's an opportunity cost, which is this moment you're missing. Because you're so worried, it's poisoned by the anticipation of pain. And you could continue to do that, right? But like, you're gonna miss the good stuff that made the pain worth it.
I feel like this is such like a beautiful note to I would say end on, but I wanted to ask you one final question too. I just feel like I love asking people this because I feel like it brings people back to themselves, and it just leaves like me, you, and like the audience with like a really good piece of advice. But if you were sitting in front of like little Greg right now, what would you tell him?
Oh my God.
It could even be like a one-word sentence, even.
I think I'd tell him, because of the person you are, your childhood won't be easy. And a lot of the experiences of childhood will be denied, right? And you'll feel the temptation to bend yourself into a million shapes, to bring to you the love that was missing, that you were always seeking. And that's a mistake.
Wow.
Because you will sacrifice yourself again and again for others. You will become a people pleaser. and you will spend many years sacrificing yourself so that someone will just stick around, even if that someone is the wrong someone. And so what I'd really encourage him to do, is the hardest thing in the world for a young person, is to really try to just be yourself. To just be.
Just be, yes.
And if that means that you aren't popular in your small town, right? Like, that's okay. Because if you're yourself, that's what's going to attract a deeper love to you. Because other people who value that real thing will find it, right? And will connect to it. But if you're busy pretending to be someone else, that opportunity can pass you by.
I love that. That's like one of my mom's like things that she's always said to me, because her mom said it to her. And it's something very close to her. You know, she lost her mom at the age of 10. So it's like she doesn't talk about it much, but when she does, it's always this phrase that she says. She's like, her mom used to always say, just be yourself and you'll attract more and more people like you. Don't change yourself, basically. There's so many times where I'll just like call her crying and being like, oh my gosh, like I just don't fit into this world. And she's like, you're not supposed to. Don't change yourself. You're going to attract the people that are supposed to be there.
Look at the person we got.
Right, exactly. Thank you.
As a result. And thank God.
Yeah, thank God, because if I was not myself, I don't know.
And then we would miss out on all the learning, all the growth, all the love that you have to offer.
Right. And what I like about this, what do you have to say to your child self question? I wait till the end to reveal it to people. But this is actually how I communicate with the source, if that makes sense. I just think like what I do in my journal a lot is I will be my child self. I always say I feel like there's two yous at once. Once you become an adult, it's not that you stop being a child. Your child self is still there, but now your adult self is born. So I always tell people, I'm like, you could say I'm 23, but I'm just a 2-year-old adult, you guys. Like, the adult in me is 2. She's trying to figure it out. Like,
and it's incredible how the wounds of the child continue to govern behavior in the present. Right? And when we don't address those, we don't acknowledge them, we don't see them, right? They continue to govern our lives without our knowledge.
And it's interesting because I feel like at a certain point, it's like you become your own parent. You're parenting your own self. And so like what I like to do is like I'll be my child self for a little bit and I'll just be free and vulnerable and write like, this is what's bothering me today. This is what I need advice on. And then I maybe take a minute, like meditate a little bit, take 5 deep breaths, reconnect with my more adult self, like the part of me that's like taking care of me. And I go back in and I just give the best answer as if I really was talking to my child self. And every time I'm like, oh, that's exactly what I needed to hear. And I'm like, that's the source.
It's in you.
Yeah, that's the source speaking.
But it's not just you.
Right, exactly. It's like everything at once.
That's right.
Yeah.
All the ways you know how to move through that situation, right, are ours. But they come from somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, in psychology, I think they call this parts theory. Right? That we have these different parts that don't die, but sometimes they live in conflict with each other, and that can be the source of so much of our torment.
Wow, yes.
Right, and so much of what we do in my therapy sessions is having my therapist invite me, the adult, the knowing self. What would he say?
Right.
What can he offer that scared kid right now?
Or
that kid who doesn't trust that who he is enough to bring the love to him.
Wow, yes.
Right? And then suddenly that is very clarifying, right? You know what to say. But you've also acknowledged the wound, right? This part of you that will continue to be in the driver's seat unless you help them understand there's a different way.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I think that was like a beautiful piece of advice you just gave to yourself for the day. So that's maybe what little Greg needed to hear today.
100%.
Just be. I love how you said that too, because I was imagining my own answer at the same time, and it was literally just be. Like I would not tell myself anything else. Anytime I try to do anything other than just exist, everything gets messed up. Yeah. So I think that's the lesson of the day. Maybe that is the conclusion we've come to about purpose. You guys is like just be. It was that simple. We went on this whole long conversation and we got to this.
Life makes it complicated. And it's just your work to uncomplicate it.
Well, thank you so much for doing a part 2.
Of course.
And yes, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you guys were inspired by just getting to know Greg and his story. And yeah, this has been the Aim Higher podcast. Did you have any final words?
Nothing except that I love you guys so much, and I appreciate this opportunity to be in this community, in this conversation together.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.